here today because we believe in the rule of law, and we have a president that doesn't. We are here today to say enough is enough. We stand with Americans across the country to confront President Trump's blatant efforts to interfere and shut down the Mueller investigation. We are here to stand up to Donald Trump. Christine Byrd, who is the outreach director of the Oklahoma Democratic Party.
When my children act up, I would put them in time out. I would sit them in a corner and I would make them behave. When they would pick on each other, I would tell them, you have to go somewhere and cool out. We are at the point that we have a president that feels and acts more like a child than the president.
He is a child.
We have a president that does not know respect nor humility. We have a president that thinks that this is his ultimate toy. We're talking about the lives of people. And he needs to understand that this is nothing to play with. So I'm not scared. I will not be bullied by Donald Trump. I don't care what all the little guys up in Washington and around this nation are scared of, but Donald Trump, I ain't scared of you. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Amen.
I will not bow down. I will not chicken out, but we will stand for what is right. We will stand for justice, and we will stand for the American people to be heard. The investigation needs to proceed. And I believe, again speaking as a mother and grandmother, if you haven't did anything wrong, stop hollering, stop whining, and let the investigation take place. But you acting like a little spoiled brat that knows he's about to get whooped and he's about to get sent home. My belief is, send Donald Trump back home. Send him home.
He's a brat.
Find some other toy, somebody else to play with, because you're talking about the American people, and the American people have a right to be heard. The media have a right to be treated with respect and dignity, and you have a right to just shut up, Donald Trump.
Heck yeah.
Throughout the last 2 years, President Trump has acted as if he is above the law by repeatedly threatening to undermine the rule of law and anyone that tries to hold him accountable. The press, Special Counsel Mueller, and we the people have all been attacked by this president. The Mueller investigation must continue to be protected in the Justice Department. By forcing out Attorney General Jeff Sessions, President Trump is working to take control of the Mueller investigation. Trump's new hand-picked acting Attorney General, Matthew Whitaker, will take over oversight of the investigation. But the Mueller investigation, which has resulted in 35 indictments so far, must continue without delay and interference. The Department of Justice must allow Special Counsel Mueller to continue his investigation into Russia's interference in our elections and connections and ties to Trump and others. The American people deserve an independent investigation to get the truth and to get accountability. Mark, can you say a few words? Mark is the chair of the Oklahoma County Democratic Party. Mark Trump. And the host of Red State Revolt podcast and radio show.
So how many people here are from Oklahoma County? Almost everybody. Then I want to tell you something really important. Keep doing what you're doing. Oklahoma was red again. For the first time in a very long time, right in the middle of Oklahoma was a big blue dot. We turned Oklahoma County blue. Do we have kids here? Okay, I won't say what I was going to say. I'll say, forget Trump instead of what I want to say about Trump. We elected a Democratic Congresswoman from Oklahoma for the first time since 1975. Our candidates who ran, we had a candidate run in every legislative race in the county. Even the candidates who didn't win, they helped flip the fifth. They drove voters to the polls. We have to understand that Kendra had a great campaign. She was a great candidate. Her people worked hard for her, but this didn't happen in a vacuum. This was what I like to call an uncoordinated campaign. We all worked together in parallel with each other. So what I want you to know is that we were part of flipping the House in Congress.
Yes.
Maxine Waters will now have the power to subpoena Trump's bank records. So you people in Oklahoma County, you're not just resisting Trump, you're revolting against Trump. I want you to not despair over what's happening. I want you to understand that I've said this for a long time. Christina said this for a long time. All of these people, that Rena has said this, all of us have said, the revolt in Oklahoma starts right here.
Yes.
And works its way out. And we proved it on Tuesday. We proved it on Tuesday. So instead of talking about, he who should never be named, instead I want to say, I want you to stop and think about the effect that you've had on Oklahoma, the positive effect. That you guys have done your best. You guys have helped. This blue wave might have splashed up against the walls of Oklahoma County when it got to the edge of the county, and it made it into Cleveland County too. But there was a blue wave, and it was right here. And we will continue to do what we've been doing. And this is every volunteer, every person who knocked doors, every person who called 10 people and got them to the polls. There are more registered Republicans than Democrats in Oklahoma County. Drew won by 29% in Oklahoma County.
Wow.
We flipped 2 House seats. We flipped 2 Senate seats. You guys did your job. Keep doing what you're doing. Work a little bit harder. We're going to shove it into the next county and the next county and the next county and the next county, and pretty soon they will not be able to ignore us in Washington, D.C. So, thank you. I love you guys.
Trump's new hand-picked acting attorney general, Matthew Whitaker, cannot oversee the Mueller investigation. He must immediately recuse himself. Matthew Whitaker has already publicly declared what he thinks of the Mueller investigation, and with this known bias is in no position to provide oversight. Congress must immediately pass legislation to protect Special Counsel Mueller. It's already passed the Senate Judiciary Committee on a bipartisan vote. It needs to happen now.
At times like this, dissent is patriotic. And there's a long history in the Quaker tradition. The first known public protest against slavery was in 1677. Those folks, they didn't see change in their lifetime or the next lifetime, but it had to start at some point in time. There's times when we have to be willing to do more than what is permitted. We're permitted to be out here on the South Plaza. It may be that we need to disrupt, to act up, to do something that will result in the handcuffs coming out. I first took my arrest opposing Black Fox 40 years ago, and I haven't grown up yet. There's a time for that. I am a licensed attorney, and I've been to court a lot for my friends that have acted up and taken arrests. Whether it's protesting Halliburton, or the Attorney General's office doing more executions, or going to an unnecessary war. Over time, it's clear that the peace people were the people telling truth. In 2003, we were called Saddam lovers, we were called traitors by very good people that bought the bullshit. But we were way ahead of that because, like everyone else here, we tend to be well educated and informed. and we understand truth when we see it. There's times when it's easy to feel that what difference does it make? And there's a story that Quakers tell. I think it's worth retelling today. My mentor was born in 1901, and along about the mid-80s, he said, "It's a little hard for me to get up clear to the upper corner of the garage, but you're here, help me out." And he had me pull down a tripod sign, and it said, "Out of our concern for war in Southeast Asia." And he said, "I've got a sign to put over that. This is the mid-80s. Out of our concern for death squads in Central America." And he went and started vigiling at approximately 85 years of age for the last 10 years of his life. And think for a minute, people would come up to him and say, "You haven't done anything to create positive change in the first 90 years of your life. Do you think you'll ever create change?" And what Bill would say, "If I don't show up, the world has changed me. That I will not abide."
Yes! Finally, we also demand that Congress immediately investigate any and all efforts to obstruct justice and abuse power. The American people spoke loudly and clearly this week. They put a check on Donald Trump. Congress must uphold its constitutional obligation to do its job and hold power accountable.
As always, first I want to say thank you for showing up here. It's important, even though sometimes we feel like we're few in number, we have to show up and rise up for what's correct, what's right. It is frankly terrifying that our president is, one, who he is, but two, seems to have no boundaries for how far he will go. And hopefully, we just elected a Democratic Congress who will hold him accountable.
Yes.
But it is important that we as individual citizens show up and demand that as well, because they didn't get there without voters like you and me. And they can't do the work they need to do without supporters like you and me. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for holding your signs and your posters. And like I think I heard Rena say earlier, keep showing up. The 2020 election cycle started on Wednesday.
Yes.
And we have to keep showing up. We need you to run for office. We need you to knock on doors and make phone calls. And when they come into legislative session in February, we need you to show up here and demand that they do their jobs here. So that is really all I've got to say. Again, thank you so much for being here. We're thrilled to be here and support you, and our doors are open if you want to come hang out at our office and volunteer for the Oklahoma Democratic Party.
It will be we the people who hold Donald Trump accountable for his corruption and abuses of power. And it is we the people that must stand up to his latest attempt to protect himself, his family, and his indicted associates from being held accountable. President Trump is not above the law. Robin Harrison, and a couple of words about why she's here.
Thank you. I'm just an average citizen. I'm a disabled American veteran who served her country, and I'm here to protect my country from tyrannism. Our ancestors had a tea party once, and it was no taxation without representation. And I'm here to say we all need to stand up against Donald Trump, the tyrannist. He is against this country, against what I fought for. And so every one of y'all can do something. And whatever it is, I'm always calling my senators, writing my congressman. It doesn't take much. I've been doing that since my 20s, and I hope y'all will do the same as well. Thank you.
We have a very special speaker that wants to say something to you, and her name is Emmeline. Come right here. What did you want to say?
Thank you. My name is Chris Kavanaugh, and I want to apologize for that last name. There's not anything I can do about it. I'm here because I'm a radical leftist who believes in the Constitution of the United States. I believe that that is the supreme law of the land, and I believe that Donald Trump is doing a power grab right now, and I believe that Whitaker is a stooge and he's not qualified to be the Attorney General. And I believe that I'm in agreement about his lack of qualifications with another radical, Clarence Thomas, who recently made a ruling about that. And also I believe that Whitaker is in place to undermine the investigation by possibly cutting funding and other nefarious things. And I believe that because Whitaker said he was going to do that if he was the Attorney General. So all of these radical beliefs are based on the statements of the people that I'm protesting, which is a pretty amazing situation. And I think that the last thing I want to say is that obstruction of justice is still punishable by 10 years in a federal prison, even if it's done out in plain sight. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stone. I am a 15-year-old and I am a student of Edmond Santa Fe. I don't currently have the right to vote in this country. I don't have that much political agency, but I'd hate to have to be a refugee soon. I don't want to fall victim of a tyrannical dictator. I don't want to, as a bisexual woman, have to fear for my rights. I don't want to, as a woman, have to fear for my rights. And we need someone to check Donald Trump. Amen. We need someone to check our democracy. That's what our democracy was founded under, checks and balances. And Mueller is paramount to that.
I don't have a whole lot to say. Now's the point in history when we have to ask ourselves, what do we want this chapter to look like for our future children? Do we want the chapter to be called End of the American Nazi Crisis, or do we want it to be called Beginning of a Dictatorship? And I'm terrified for what I'm going to have to tell children in the future. I'm going to have to answer questions about what it was like to live right now. And I wonder what I'll say. I wonder if I'll say I'll have to run. I wonder if... I hear all these stories about people that survived the Holocaust yelling that this is exactly how it starts, and I'm scared, but I'm also hopeful, because you're all here. We're all still fighting. And there's still a chance this might not go that badly. Hopefully. But no matter what it is, we're going to have to answer questions someday. Children are going to ask us when they're writing reports, what was it like? What was going through your mind when Trump was in office? And I just fear the answers we'll have to give them.